20XX is a roguelite platformer that wears its past influences on its sleeves and not only honors these classic franchises it imitates, but puts its own unique spin on the genre. 20XX level design is procedurally generated with various set-piece platforming areas that are all then stitched together in different ways, each run to give the illusion of a randomly generated level. This is 20XX's main selling point that works when it works, but screws you over when you least expect it. Some areas are very well designed and offer a great balance of difficulty that is rewarding to overcome, and then bam, random death room that screeches your run to an end. Although this can be frustrating, it does in fact have a purpose. Every run you gather currency, it allows you to unlock permanent upgrades to your character, new weapons, armor, and items. So yes, you're supposed to die, which is perfectly fine, but sadly 20XX's procedural generation is a double-edged sword. Did you luckily manage to get hover boots on Area 2? If Lady Luck wasn't on your side and you weren't granted any movement abilities early on, some layouts seem drastically harder due to no fault of your own. This problem can luckily be avoided by just getting good, and this philosophy reigns true because the 20XX's perfectly spot-on controls, when mastered, can nearly overcome any difficulty spike if you're skilled enough. There is no barrier between your fingers, the buttons, and what is translating on screen, which gives 20XX that perfect feeling of pure gameplay that I will always commend. This makes every run of 20XX instantly fun from the get-go, even if you're stripped of all your powers you amassed over the last run and are forced to go back to pew-pew all over again. At the end of every area are bosses which can be tackled in different orders by picking one of 3 warp gates at the end of the levels. These bosses range from pretty good to pretty bad, and just like the random nature of the levels themselves, every variable in between. Some bosses are a cakewalk, and some are so random in their design and attack patterns that way too often feel like you just need to tank through their hits and try to finish the fight as soon as possible. These bosses, although not necessarily horrible in design, seem like the most underdeveloped, and after playing the beta build of 20XX last year, I know we're an ongoing challenge for the developer. You really need to go into 20XX expecting a game that takes the concept of a balanced difficulty curve, mashing it into an incomprehensible ball, and then proceeding to chuck it into your helpless face. You can of course start to slowly unravel that mess on your own with permanent upgrades to bend the game to your will over time, however. This is what makes this uneven game design so rewarding when you're able to overcome the middle fingers that the game design throws at you, but understandably, this design may frustrate some more than it entices. Now, what if I said 20XX has one of the best online 2D side-scroller co-op experiences on Steam? Yes, I stand by that statement, and this is where 20XX really shines. I just so happen to have my co-op partner available to give his opinion on 20XX's co-op experience, and to give you all a more varied and informed opinion. Take it away, Danger.
20XX's co-op mode is an overall great experience. Hiding behind their sketchy netcode is actually one of the better platforming co-op experiences on Steam right now. The majority of the time Deadeye and I played, I was on the client side and had almost no lag. I say almost because there were a few connectivity issues during loading, but no dropped games and no mid-gameplay lag. Outside of the technical flaws, I thought 20XX was a lot of fun. Everything seemed pretty well balanced between the two characters, and whenever an item is found, it is either applied to both of you or has options for both of you, so you never have to worry about fighting over who gets what, and what keeps both of you pretty well balanced with each other. The downside to this is the sheer amount of armor mods and powers that can be obtained. At one point I had a 4-way shooter, a flame shield, and I think an ice shooter that when hits the wall ricochets into like 5 additional ice shards. Put all that on the screen, plus enemies, moving and vanishing platforms, and your partner with a similar build, and I wouldn't say that necessarily takes away from the game because you can always choose not to pick up those items, but when you decide to, be prepared to lose yourself in the crazy, colorful mess of destruction.
20XX is a solid take on mashing up old and new game designs with a very challenging, sometimes frustrating, but always fun platformer. 20XX, when tackled with a friend or solo, is very easy to enjoy every run since you're earning to better yourself for the next go, and with 2 drastically different characters, daily and weekly challenge runs with leaderboards, and multiple difficulty levels, you have plenty to keep you busy with 20XX's challenging gauntlets of blissful death. This has been Deadite from Boomstick Gaming, and remember,
shop smart. Shop S-Smart. You got that?
Check, 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 check. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.